So when we talk about God, I think we're talking about something that's above all of us in consciousness, in awareness, in perfection, both in terms of perfection, in terms of being without flaw, and also in terms of being complete and whole. And so God is is an embodiment of this idea of universal perfection and omniscience and omnipotence. It's the power, he or she, and I use those terms with reverence, is a is a perfected, exalted being that knows everything and feels everything and is aware of everything simultaneously. How that happens exactly, I'm not sure, but there's some sort of universal consciousness, and that's maybe one definition of God. Now you can go down, you can delve down deeper or maybe become more superficial and say, well, God is, an entity. God is a person. God is a supreme being. And I don't reject any of those notions at all. In fact, I support those notions. I don't see why an all-knowing and all-loving and all-perfect entity wouldn't make himself or herself more available to us in a personable format that we as human beings can identify with. So that's one definition of God. Now, how do we, as human beings, as mortals, how do we commune with and atone with a perfect being? How do we grow closer to God in spite of our imperfections and our shortcomings and our weaknesses? Well, that's the wonderful thing about being an esoteric Christian, or any kind of Christian for that matter. And all belief systems generally have some prescribed format or path to become closer with God, or more like God, or one with God. And that's really one of the unifying principles of all religions and belief systems, is the quest to become one with the supreme being, the supernal, the perfected. And so how do we do it as an esoteric Christian? Well, being an esoteric Christian has a lot to do with symbolism, has a lot to do with understanding layers of symbolism with any given symbol. It has a lot to do with having self-awareness as it relates to the symbols that are around us, and developing a self-awareness that's really honest and pure. So it acknowledges that we are that I am an imperfect being, that I make mistakes, that I falter, that I do things that are hurtful to myself and to other people from time to time, usually not intentionally, but occasionally I fail, and fail miserably at the things that I'm trying to accomplish. And as part of that belief system, going, you know what, that's okay. That if there is a divine, omniscient, omnipotent being, why does he let me be so imperfect? Well, there must be a purpose in it. And that's part of the belief system, is that there is a purpose in imperfection. There is a purpose in making mistakes and failing, and that it is all part of a plan that somehow refines and develops imperfect or incomplete people like you and me. Jesus Christ, who is the focal point of Christianity, obviously, was a historical figure who lived, it's 2019 right now, so we could assume that he lived sometime around 2019 years ago, or was born sometime around 2019 years ago. There's some, obviously some historical debate among experts about when the calendar year, the Julian calendar actually started. But there's definitely an indisputable existence of a historical figure whose name was something like Jesus. And Jesus is the anglicized version of the Greek word Yesu, which is the Greco version of the Hebrew or Aramaic name of Yeshua. So when I think of Jesus, I think of a Hebrew man who lived 2,000 years ago who went probably by the name of Yeshua. And I don't mean any disrespect by calling him a man, because he claimed, according to Scripture, to be the Son of God. He claimed to be one with God. He claimed to be the great I Am, the Jehovah. And more importantly, he invited all of us to join him on that journey, to become one with him, even as he is one with the Father of us all, or the God of gods, Elohim. So it's a beautiful concept in Christianity that this man, Yeshua, who claimed to be and was testified by many to be the Son of God, invites us to join him on that journey toward godhood, toward becoming one with God. And that's really what the Bible is about. That's really what the New Testament is about. And I think that's a beautiful concept.